Do ba 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 do boo do a boo ba do ba do boo boo.
All right, good evening. You guys excited? Okay, good. We want you to be excited. That helps. The energy helps the actors, and you'll get a lot out of it too. My name is Dar Drury, and I am directing this show, The Curious Savage. It's the first time I've directed here, so I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about what they're going to do and how they've worked so hard on this thing. A few things I want to explain to you before we get going. If you don't know, restrooms are out this door and straight to the back. There's two of them back there behind the barn door, sliding barn door, like on Fixer Upper or whatever that is. But also there's a raffle. You've probably already seen, but all the proceeds to that go to the theater, and so we're really excited about that. Plus, it's an incredible quilt. So if you haven't got a chance to put your name in there for that. I'm really excited about this show. Now, as a director, you know, usually if it's terrible, I'm going to get the blame, and if it's great, I'm going to get the praise. That's not really fair in this particular situation, because when I said I would direct Nina, how many of you know Nina? She runs this place basically. She loves theater with all her heart, and she's really spent years building this place. She said, "Well, I'll be your producer." I said, "Okay," and I didn't know what that meant. It basically meant that she's responsible for the set, the costumes, the props, and all I had to do was direct. Now, a lot of people helped her, that's for sure. Look in there, and you can see some of the people, especially construction, and Steve and Carol and Julie, and Dalton back there is our tech guy. He's been doing a wonderful job. My daughter Reagan is backstage, stage managing, and so it's her first time being a part of this company as well. But I just wanted to give it up for Nina, because she made this easy for me, so she's the one that really made this thing go. So give her a hand right now. I know she doesn't want that. She might not, but I wanted to. She made it so easy for me, so I don't deserve all that credit as a director. So, but I hope you enjoyed the show. Just let your emotions go. If you feel like laughing, just let it go. If you feel like crying, we'll try to do better next time. No, actually, in this you probably will cry, so don't hold that back either. So this show has a lot of heart, and I hope you really, really enjoy it. So enjoy Curious Savage.
Is there cars still out front, Barry? I said, is there cars still out front?
Oh, Barry, Florence was speaking to you.
I am sorry, Florence. I was watching the fireflies. What did you say?
I said, can you see if they've left yet?
I wish I'd been born a cat so I could see in the dark.
I don't think I'll wait for her. I'm gonna get a book and go to my room.
Does your jaw hurt tonight, Jeff?
Not bad.
Then stay a little longer. We'd like to have you.
Jeff, you've already invested 267 minutes in waiting. Surely you can afford an additional 10 cents worth.
All right, my statistical friend. My curiosity is good for 10 minutes more.
I wonder what she's like. Miss Willie says they're one of the wealthiest families in America.
Oh, that's bad. She'll have an expensive camera she can't work. Or write about an artist I've never heard of.
Oh, cynic. Has money spoiled me?
Do you have money, Barry?
Bags.
Now, let's not be prejudiced towards money. Some of my closest friends are wealthy. Hannibal, play us something while we wait. Help distract Jeff.
Well, you catch me tuned. What shall it be?
Surprise us.
How about Gypsy Sardas?
Please don't play gypsy music, Hannibal. It frightens me.
Frightens you?
Terrifies me. I was stolen by gypsies when I was a child and rescued just as they were about to dye my skin with walnut juice. Well, I was.
Go ahead, Hannibal.
I hope she likes music. Maybe she plays an instrument herself. The harp. Oh, I hope she plays the harp all my life. I'm sorry, Hannibal. Go ahead. I was raised on the harp. My father, like an angel.
Jeff, what are you doing?
Oh, there was a book I wanted on the shelf. I'm sorry, Hannibal.
Fairy, get the book for Jeff so we can listen to Hannibal.
Wait, I'll get a chair.
Never mind, Fairy. I can get it.
No, Jeff. Climbing on chairs is women's work. Men have mountains. Which book did you want?
The Lifetime of the Ape.
People give the strangest books to this library. I just couldn't get into Forbidden Tibet.
You know, it's amazing what standing above people does. I feel like the smartest person in the whole world.
It's the brown one up there.
Books are in my blood. My mother invented the filing system at the New York Library. She was queen of cross-index.
I'll get Jeff's book, Fairy.
No. Musicians shouldn't work.
Be careful, Fairy. Don't get dust in your eyes.
Wouldn't you prefer animal husbandry? I can reach that.
This time it's got to be Lifetime of the Ape.
Loose it out with this. Lights! Turn the lights back on!
Don't let me fall!
Please! Turn the lights back on!
Hannibal, get to the switch before someone is hurt!
It looks like Miss Paddy's back.
Lights!
Please, Mrs. Paddy, let us keep the lights on!
Some night, you're going to turn the lights off at the wrong time and hurt somebody. Then you'll be sorry. I wish you'd given up something else for Lent this year.
It's unfair to the rest of us to you to have Miss Paddy.
Other people like electricity.
Now, you just sit at your easel like a good girl and leave the lights alone.
I must say, you started us, Miss Willie. We thought you were in the front office.
Oh, for the love of Pete, Fairy, what are you up to?
I was just trying to get a book for Jeffrey.
With a violin bow?
I couldn't quite reach it.
I certainly did not mean to cause all this commotion. Forget it.
No, I'll get it for you. Everyone watch his own head. Timber! You may take the bow, Miss Willie. You may take my hand, Hannibal.
The next time someone wants a book off the top, Fairy, call me. Why, the whole shelf might have fallen on you.
Oh, who ever heard of being hurt by good books?
Well, enough of them might, and I'd hate that to happen, darling.
I hate everything in the world. But most of all, I hate cold cream, hot dogs, codfish, crawfish, catfish, catnip, sheep dip, sawdust, sewers, skewers, frictions, fractions, policemen, and electricity!
Miss Willie, how much longer do we have to wait?
What's she like, Miss Willie?
I haven't seen her. Let's tidy up the room a bit. Fairy, will you put the Parcheesi board away, please?
Is she young or old, Miss Willie?
I don't know. Bingo, you tied that one in a hurry.
I wish you wouldn't call me that, Miss Willie. It's the pet name my mom uses.
I forgot.
I wish you wouldn't seen me out to kiss.
Oh, but you're the handsomest.
What if my mom came in to call and she saw a strange woman kissing me? Explode.
She would if I know her.
I'm trying to remember.
I'll try. Forgive me. Hello. Oh, yes, Dr. Emmett, right away. Hannibal, will you put the dartboard up? Let's please don't clutter the place, darlings. We want to make a good first impression.
Will we meet her now?
I don't know.
We haven't had anyone exciting here since that magician's wife. Remember? She was all nerves from being sawed in half so many times. What was her name?
Something hyphenated.
I forget. But she had color. All my relations are so drab. Both my parents were albino.
Really, Fairy? You shouldn't invent such things.
Well, they were emotional albinos.
Fairy, you shouldn't peek. It's so degrading to get on one's knees.
You get on your knees to pray, don't you? I'll say a little prayer. Dear God, please let me see something.
See anything?
I do. God was quick.
What do you see?
Someone coming out of Dr. Emmett's office. Who? 1, 2, 3 strange people. They're coming in here! Quick, let's hide in the hall and eavesdrop.
Is that Ethel, Jeff?
You know we'll be sent out anyhow.
We could call it espionage.
Come on, Mrs. Paddy, we're going spy.
All guards like Twitch. It's rude to let guests enter a dark room.
This is the last time I'm going to be party to Peking Fairy. Kneeling simply ruins my nylons.
I mustn't get excited, or I'll get hiccups and betray us.
Dr. Emmett will join you in a moment.
If you would, let them know if there's nothing else, we'd like to start heading back.
Yes, Senator Savage, there are cigarettes and magazines on the table. Please make yourselves at home.
Well, Titus, what do you think now? Are you reassured?
Somewhat. You know what, it really doesn't look like an institution.
Not at all.
I think Mother will be contented and happy here.
I just hope we didn't make a mistake.
Darling, the only mistake we made was not taking steps sooner.
You're hard.
Someone has to be practical.
No, you're callous. You've married too many foreigners.
Samuel, darling, we've done what's had to be done. Let's not quarrel about it.
You know, I just don't want to seem insensitive. I've always thought maybe we should keep her at home with a attendant. But you know what? Little Belle's right. This is civilized behavior.
I'm sorry to have delayed you. I was anxious to have Dr. Johnson question your mother.
And Mother's doing well?
Oh yes, and there's no need to worry, Senator. I assure you she's quite safe here. All the patients in this wing are in their final stages of treatment. They're all very kind and cooperative. And on the surface, quite as normal as, say, yourself, Senator.
You don't say.
While we're waiting, I would like to have a word with you about this memorial fund of your mother's.
Oh, sure. There's really not much to say. She was going to use it to spend all of the Savage estate.
Yeah, the newspapers called it her happiness fund.
Was this indifference to money something recent?
Wouldn't say so.
No, she's always given money to foolish causes.
Would you mind being more specific?
Well, there was that Italian farmer who wanted a box of soil from Italy.
Just dirt.
And Mother spent $200 to get it for him.
And then there was that flower peddler who wanted a tombstone for his horse.
And he got it.
You see, after Father died, this obsession got progressively worse. Last year, she chartered a ship to send 1,000 school children around the world.
Why?
Well, she felt they should go around the world while there was still a world around.
But we stopped her just as she was about to set up this fund legally.
With the board of directors.
A fantastic board of directors. Not a bishop, a banker, or a lawyer among them.
There was a postman, a gardener, and a veterinarian. Oh, and herself.
But we should have known her mind was going the day she decided to step on that stage.
Oh, that. Doctor, what do you make of a case like that? A woman her age wanting to take up being an actress.
Oh, the unique is your team here, Senator. Nothing surprises us.
Well, if she would have been talented or even vain, I could have understood it.
But she wasn't. She's quiet, actually quite timid. And then all of a sudden she has this amazing change. Grief did it. Yeah, but why acting? I mean, life's got enough drama in it already.
God knows.
I don't understand why. That was like, it was crazy.
Oh, as Judge Savage says, God only knows.
Oh, the bear. You tell us about the bear? What's with this bear?
Oh, obvious exhibitionism.
Exactly.
She's taken such a childish delight in being seen everywhere with that teddy bear.
She's got this love of notoriety.
Her entire conduct, Doctor, has been a travesty of dignity and self-respect.
And sound business.
Could you tell me, Senator, have there been any similar cases in your family on your mother's side?
Frankly, I wouldn't know.
You see, Doctor, she's not actually our mother. Father remarried when we were children.
Oh, I see.
But that hasn't changed, hasn't made a difference in how we feel towards her.
Well, I'm afraid I won't be of much help until I've had time to observe her conduct here.
Well, you're the doctor.
And we know she'll be happy in such a charming place.
I mean, I wouldn't mind staying here myself.
Samuel, this is no place to laugh.
Oh, on the contrary, Senator. We encourage laughter here. We think it's healthy.
You do?
Of course. It's great therapy. For as Byron once said, and if I laugh at any mortal thing, 'tis that I may not weep.
Of course, of course.
Yes, Miss Willie.
I beg your pardon, Dr. Emmett. Dr. Johnson said he won't be able to complete Mrs. Savage's file at the moment.
Why not?
He finds her a little uncooperative.
Oh, well, would you have her come in here, please, then?
Yes, Doctor.
Thank you. While you're all saying your goodbyes, I'll go have a talk with Dr. Johnson.
Oh, please don't go, Doctor.
Please, doctor.
Yes, we would prefer you stay. The shorter we make this, the better for all concerned.
And she's vindictive.
And for some reason, Doctor, she holds me responsible.
It's gonna take time. Time will get her to iron this all out and be represented.
Will you come in here, Mrs. Savage?
Will you please have a seat, Mrs. Savage?
We've waited to say goodbye to you, Mother.
I do not like thee, Lily Belle. The reason why I cannot tell. But this I know and know full well. I do not like thee, Lily Belle.
Mrs. Savage, your children are getting ready to leave. Wouldn't you like to say goodbye to them? They would like to say goodbye to you.
Oh, the fireflies are out. How lovely. What makes the fireflies light up, Doctor? Are they mating?
I honestly couldn't say.
I thought you'd know. Isn't this a bug house?
Oh, no. This is the cloisters. This is to be your new home. I am Dr. Emmett.
Wouldn't it be fascinating if human beings glowed like fireflies while they were mating? Do you light up while you're mating, Lily Belle? Lord knows you're flighty.
Come on, Titus. She's going to be unpleasant again.
Mother, you can't let us leave in this atmosphere of bitterness.
50 needles and 50 pins and 50 dirty Republicans.
Really? She's just choosing to take the wrong attitude. It's futile. Time will take care of that. Come, Samuel.
I'll send more for clothes down later, Doctor. We were only able to pack one room under the circumstances.
That's all right. Sunday is Visitor's Day. You're welcome to bring more then.
Well, our sister's planning a trip to Paris next week, so we'll make arrangements. Good night, Mother.
If you need anything, Mrs. Savage, Miss Wilhelmina will take care of you.
We have a lovely garden out there. You'll be able to see it better in the morning. When I was a child, we always said 30 needles and 30 pins. You've added 20 more dirty Republicans.
It's a fault of mine. Exaggeration. It's stupid of me to try to irritate them like this. I just irritate myself. Oh, well, I suppose it has to be exasperating now to be funny later.
Oh, I noticed one of its eyes is gone. It must have dropped off in the office. I'll look as soon as they go.
Oh, no, don't bother. It fell out last fall at the opera. I could have found it, but the usher was so nasty about my lighting matches during the Magic Night music. You know what this is, don't you?
Suppose you tell me.
It's a teddy bear. Surely you've seen one before.
Oh, not that big.
Do you know what I do with it?
I couldn't possibly guess.
I sleep with it.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Are you going to talk to me as if I were an imbecile too?
Here, here. We mustn't be hostile.
Of course not. You haven't harmed me. Would you care to know why I sleep with it?
If you'd care to tell me.
I don't care. And I'll tell you, I get lonely. I'm too old to have a lover and too fastidious to sleep with a cat.
Well, then you simply must take it to bed with you here. Would you care to take off your hat?
If I'm going to spend the rest of my life here, I might as well.
It's a mighty saucy hat.
A 10-cent piece of fabric and a feather. $85. Why economy should be expensive, I don't know.
It takes imagination.
And the blood of pirates. But I wanted it. I wanted a hat like this since I was 16. For all the good it will do me now. Well, I won't be needing a hat here. Maybe you can use it for something. I'm not at all sure what.
You'd better keep it. You might need it later.
Oh! My hair looks like the matted end of a coconut.
I don't think so. It's a heavenly color.
You should have seen it last year. It was bright red. Then just to be different, I dyed it black with a white streak in the middle. I looked like nothing so much as a skunk. Finally, I just gave up and tinted it blue. It goes with everything.
Well, it will certainly go with your room. Would you like to go up and get settled?
Is it time to lock me up?
Oh, I wouldn't dream of locking you up. Did you bring a suitcase?
My daughter did. I wasn't consulted.
Well, I'll get it and take you up. You'll have time to explore your surroundings more tomorrow. You can wait here.
Alone?
Of course.
No handcuffs?
We have the honor system.
Honor system indeed.
Hello. Miss Willie says the bars are only there to keep the world outside.
Corny, isn't it?
It's alive! Really, Fairy, you must stop frightening yourself.
The poor thing is quite harmless.
It won't bite?
It won't shed, lay eggs, or bark. And to the best of my knowledge, it's unvexed by sex. It could be less trouble.
Well, in that case, any friend of yours is a friend of mine. Perhaps we should introduce ourselves. You must be Mrs. Savage. I'm Florence Williams.
How do you do?
We have been expecting you all afternoon. We're so glad to finally have you with us. May I introduce Fairy May?
Say you love me!
But, just met.
Oh, you don't have to mean it. I just feel wonderful when people tell me they love me.
Well, I'm sure everyone loves you.
See, I told you she wouldn't be spoiled. Welcome to the cloisters. Climate best by government test.
Thank you.
And this is Hannibal. And this is our Mrs. Paddy.
How do you do, Mrs. Paddy?
I hate everything in the world. Most of all, I hate lightning, skunk cabbage, mustard, custard, mice, bees, cheese, ragweed, chloroform, rhubarb, salt and thunder.
Why don't you like rhubarb?
Mrs. Paddy won't answer you, Mrs. Savage. She'll only recite the things she hates.
Sweet, but stubborn. Mrs. Paddy stopped talking about 20 years ago.
Why?
She got mad. Her husband told her to shut up, and she did.
She gave up conversation for life.
But she's only giving up electricity for Lent.
You're a woman of wisdom, Mrs. Paddy. There is only one thing wiser than saying very little, and that's saying nothing at all. Would you like to hold it?
She likes you.
I like her.
Oh, you haven't met Jeff. Come here, Jeff.
Please excuse my left hand.
Oh, certainly. Is it a toothache?
Jeff's face is scarred and he likes to spare people.
Oh, well, you don't need to spare me. I have to look at myself in the mirror every morning.
Dr. Emmett refuses to let me wear a bandage.
Well, we have to humor our doctors once in a while.
And now you've met everyone. We're a small group in this wing, and we hope you'll find us comfortable to be with.
But Mrs. Savage hasn't met everyone. She hasn't met the Holy Terror.
Of course, how stupid of me.
Where is he, Florence?
Well, he was here just a moment ago. John Thomas!
He might have gone out into the hall.
I'll go see. John Thomas!
You won't hurt her, will you?
Gracious, why should I?
You won't object, will you?
Well, what is John Thomas?
Her son. What did you think?
Here?
Oh, yes, he was born here.
I can't. Oh, look, asleep on the floor. My husband warned me I'd be a bad mother. Mrs. Savage, this is my son.
You like children, don't you?
Everybody's but my own. How old is he?
5.
Oh, he's big for 5 months.
Oh, no, 5 years.
Oh, yes, I meant years.
If you'll excuse us now, I have to put him to bed. He has measles. I do hope you don't catch them. Excuse me.
That was exceedingly kind of you, Mrs. Savage, not to notice anything wrong.
There wasn't time to explain, but you were like lightning.
If poor Florence isn't well, we pretend for her sake, and we hope you will too.
Oh, I will.
I think you should understand something right away, Mrs. Savage. That except for Florence, the rest of us are free to leave here any time we want to.
But we don't go, because there's no better place to go.
You're a very lucky woman to be accepted here, Mrs. Savage. If I do say so myself. And I do. Tyrant!
Oh, do be quiet.
Oh, what is that?
That rude noise is the signal for us to go to our rooms.
It's the evil of the machine age. Perfect pistons and no manners.
Well, ours not to reason why. I wonder why no one ever quotes the first line. It's someone blundered.
Good night.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. We don't say that. Because it means there's no more.
No more what?
Oh, there's no more of so much.
Don't let Jeff's manner disturb you. During the war, his plane was shot down in flames. He hasn't quite recovered yet.
Oh, was his face badly burned?
Oh, not at all. Jeff bailed out. But he was the only one. He lost his crew. His scar goes deeper than we can see.
Surely you've guessed by now, Mrs. Savage, that Hannibal and I are the only ones truly free to leave. We wouldn't say that in front of the others. We pretend to save their pride. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Paddy. I forgot you were still here. I can tear my tongue out. Will you excuse me? If I don't apologize, she'll sulk.
Fairy has the gift of the good for saying the wrong thing.
Well, I would think it would take a bit of doing to apologize to someone who won't talk and sulks anyhow.
You'll get used to Mrs. Paddy. Just treat her like a clock. Look at her to see how the day goes, but don't expect an answer. She's happy in her easel.
Oh, is she an artist?
I don't know whether she is an artist or not, but she paints
Portraits?
seascapes, which is rather odd because she's never seen the ocean.
Sorry to interrupt, but I forgot to warn you, Mrs. Savage. Stay awake. If you go to your room, don't sleep.
What did she mean about not sleeping?
None of us sleeps here.
Oh, where do you sleep?
We don't. Oh, we go to our rooms. We've all agreed to that in principle. But we stay awake. We never close our eyes. When you go to sleep, today ends. And when today ends, tomorrow begins. Today, we're safe. Tomorrow may be filled with disaster. You won't catch us sleeping. Could anything be simpler?
Not much.
Today's the only certainty.
Hannibal, you heard the buzzer. Why aren't you in your room?
I'm in spirit, and everyone says it's the spirit that counts. Remember, fight the night.
Did everyone come in to meet you?
Well, there was a Mrs. Paddy and 4 others who have no business being here at their age.
I quite agree.
Do you think I belong here?
Mrs. Savage, we are severely short-staffed. I am kept far too busy to have any opinions.
I'd like to know what they told you about me.
Was there anything to tell?
Did they mention my memorial fund?
No, not to me.
Then they probably told you that my husband's death affected my reason.
That would be understandable.
But untrue.
Well, why? Weren't you happy with your husband?
I married Jonathan when I was 16. I loved him from the moment I met him until the moment he died. Do you know what that meant?
I think so.
Well, you don't, my dear. It meant that my only aim in life was to make him happy, to want what he wanted, to anticipate what would please him. And that meant that all the other things that I'd ever wanted had to be forgotten.
But surely you had no regrets.
Oh, none while he lived. But after he was gone, I remembered all the foolish things that I'd always wanted to do.
And what have you always wanted to do?
Things that would have shocked poor Jonathan.
Such as dyeing your hair blue.
That, and studying French and ballet dancing, and people. As a girl, I was sure I could have been a great actress. So with no responsibilities and time running out, I decided to be one.
But don't you think you waited too long, Mrs. Savage?
I certainly do. Had I have been a fool in my youth, no one would have noticed the difference in my old age.
I would never think of you as old.
Well, having kicked over the traces myself and having learned once again the importance of unimportant things, I decided that I would help others have the foolish things they always wanted.
And how are you going to do that?
by establishing the Jonathan Savage Memorial Fund, a foundation for giving money away in memory of my husband. And that insane idea has brought me here.
Well, you won't find it too unpleasant here. Shall we go up to your room now?
Well, at least I learned one thing from my French lessons.
What's that?
What I am. I am a mon canard. That's a dead duck. I think.
Oh, it's not as bad as all that now.
Yes, it is. Someday you'll realize a great injustice was done me. You'll know that I was always quite sane. But here I am, and here they'll try to keep me with my few foolish years taken from me. If people would walk around the edge of the carpet once in a while, it would save wearing it out in the middle.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, what would we do without you, Hannibal? You bring melody to the morning.
Why, you could be in the concert field, Hannibal, if you worked at it.
Oh, you're so right, Jeff. Golden fingertips. I simply surrender to it. I'm a rag.
Oh, do come in, Mrs. Savage.
I trust you had a pleasant sleepless night.
Oh, lovely, thank you. Not a wink.
You just missed Hannibal's recital.
No, I heard it. As a matter of fact, it's what brought me out of my room.
You wouldn't believe it, Mrs. Savage, but Hannibal hadn't started playing the violin until only last year.
Now, what makes you think I wouldn't believe it, my dear? Was it something you composed yourself, Hannibal?
Bah, with variations of my own.
Mathematics loss was certainly our game.
Now, I don't quite follow that, Fairy.
The fairy knows that I used to be a statistician.
Thank you. Now I'm straight.
Give him a fraction and multiply.
I'm afraid I wouldn't know whether he was right or not.
My previous position was with the government, charting trends. I was supposed to keep my finger on the pulse of the public and my ear to the ground.
A rather vulnerable position, was it not?
Very. I was fired and replaced with an electronic calculator.
I would think you would hate electricity too.
No, but I did want to make money with my brains, so I spent the next 2 years trying to think of something that could be made for a dime, sold for $1, and was habit forming. I'm afraid my education was wasted.
I'm going to send John Thomas to Princeton. Their boys aren't very bright, but they're such gentlemen.
That reminds me. May we ask you a personal question, Mrs. Savage?
They're the only ones worth asking, my dear.
A little bird told us that you used to be an actress. We are just bursting with curiosity. Is it true?
That. Well, if being on the stage makes you an actress, then yes, I guess it's true.
Miss Willie, that's the bird Florence mentioned. She told us that you were on the New York stage.
I wonder if we've ever seen you, Mrs. Savage.
Not unless you were quick. Actually, I was only in 2 plays. The first was Macbeth.
Oh, I adore Macbeth. All that blood. I sent a pledge of my own blood to the Red Cross once. They sent it back.
I should think you'd be a novel departure as Lady Macbeth.
I can't tell you how much I agree with you, but they cast me as a witch.
But you're a perfect witch.
Thank you, dear.
Go ahead, speak some witch talk for us.
Oh, I didn't have any lines. If I had, it probably would have cost me twice as much.
Why did it cost you anything?
I backed the show. If I hadn't put up the money, I couldn't have played even the mute witch. But we made history. It's the first play that ever closed before the reviews were out.
Was it expensive?
Oh, extremely, but worth it.
What a pity. Weren't you discouraged?
Bitterly. But man is by nature optimistic. Otherwise, he'd eat his young. So I decided I would write a play and star myself.
You wrote a play?
I did indeed, with a courage born of ignorance and a plot out of wedlock.
What part did you play then?
Naturally, the lead. Not Guilty, starring Ethel P. Savage.
What does the P stand for?
I haven't the faintest idea. My numerologist said I needed it in my name for luck. He was right. We ran a year.
What was the play about?
A mother who murdered a man and was defended by a young woman lawyer who turns out to be her own daughter. I had red hair and I died in my daughter's arms every night and 2 matinees a week. Just as the curtain came down and the jury whispered, "Not guilty." I've never had a better time in my life.
I gather the notices were good that time.
Well, they were sincere, but it didn't make any difference.
What did they say?
The Times said my play set the theater back 50 years. Possibly because I stole the plot from Madam X, and that's only 40 years old.
What did they know?
But the Wall Street Journal was wonderful. It said I brought something new to the theater.
Money?
Oh, very really. Money isn't new.
What did Wall Street say?
It said I had a tenacious mediocrity unhampered by taste.
But that wasn't good.
It was perfect. In our ads, we simply said tenacious and unhampered.
In a year?
We had been running yet if my daughter hadn't come home and stopped me. Oh, I know I was bad and the audiences only came to laugh at me, but we both had a good time. What more can you ask? Oh, I do miss it. Oh well, my turn is coming.
I don't think that was very nice of your daughter.
Don't! Please don't! Fairy, what is wrong?
Mrs. Savage is going to read the newspaper!
Oh!
What's the matter?
I wouldn't do that if I were you, Mrs. Savage.
Please, Mrs. Savage, give it to me, please.
You mustn't read it.
It'll only make you unhappy.
Now, just a moment. I already know what the paper is going to say, so there's nothing you can hide from me. I've just been waiting for it to happen.
Waiting for what to happen, Mrs. Savage?
What it says in the paper.
But we don't know what it says in the paper.
Then why were you trying to keep me from seeing it?
We have an agreement.
We never read the newspaper until they're a month old.
We find we're much happier when we wait.
What are you waiting for?
Well, naturally, we're waiting for... What did we wait for now?
Perspective.
Peace of mind.
Security.
We find it's better to read about unpleasant things a month after they've happened.
It's reassuring when you know it's over and nothing can be done.
My dear people, there is something important in the paper that I want to know about, and I'd like to know now, not next month.
We're only trying to help you.
Yes.
Disaster is easier to digest when it's aged a little.
You're very kind, but I've made my bed and I want to know who's in it.
We can't prevent Mrs. Savage from reading the paper if she insists. We don't know her well enough to be rude.
Florence is right.
Well, if you read anything unpleasant, don't tell us.
No! If there's trouble in the world, it will help us to know about it.
Oh, this is yesterday's paper. I want today's paper.
Oh, it isn't here yet.
Well, when does it come?
I don't know.
Well, is there a radio here?
Yes, Robert here.
Maybe I can catch the news. Why didn't someone mention there was a radio here?
You didn't ask us.
Oh, this doesn't light up. Is there anything wrong with the set?
I don't think so. Of course, it has been in tubes.
It hasn't any what?
Tubes. Mrs. Paddy steals them. She hates electricity, you know.
No one knows where she hides them.
Why didn't someone say the radio had no tubes?
You didn't ask us.
Dear. How high is that wall?
Much too high.
Easily 10 chairs high.
And I suppose no one ever leaves that great gate open?
Don't look beyond the garden, Mrs. Savage. There may be a better place out there somewhere, but if you give this up and look for it, you may not find it and lose what you do have.
You'll like it here after a while.
Except in January, the rooms get a little cold.
We like you already.
It isn't that I don't find you, enchanting, but, but
we what?
Please don't say anything mean. Oh, do be still.
We have to go, Mrs. Savage.
But where?
It's garden hour.
We each have a little plot of land and we plant things. You can plant whatever you'd like, vegetables or flowers.
Last year, I planted birdseed to see what would come up.
What did come up, Carrie?
Nothing, but it was a rich horticultural experience.
There's a beautiful evergreen in the center. At Christmas, it has lights on it saying, "Merry Christmas." Keep out.
Come with us, Mrs. Savage. I'll show you my delphiniums.
No, please go without me. I have some serious thinking to do. I'll just stay here.
But the buzzer buzzed. One must obey orders.
May I ask why you were doing that, Mrs. Savage?
Oh, I believe in wearing a carpet out evenly.
How prudent! I'm going to join you.
But don't you have to garden?
This is more constructive.
I'll join too. We must all do our share.
But didn't mean to start a procession.
On, everybody! Many feet make light work.
Why not? It's a refreshing change. Most women lead us in circles.
Go ahead, Mrs. Savage. We're right behind you.
But I feel like the Pied Piper.
Jeff, you step on leaves. Hannibal can take buttons. Mrs. Savage can have the roses, and the rest of us will walk on thorns. Do you know what we're doing, Miss Willie?
Wearing out the carpet evenly.
Oh, someone told you.
Didn't I hear buzzer ring garden hour?
I didn't hear it. I think it's broken.
Mary, aren't you ashamed?
I wish I were dead.
I'm afraid this is my fault, Miss Willie.
I didn't feel like gardening anyhow.
Oh, but you've worked so hard on your flowers this year. Do you want them to die, Florence?
I don't want anything to die.
That's too true. Florence wouldn't hurt a fly. She catches them and puts them out the window. Flies adore her.
I think maybe we better all go out to the garden now. Fairy, will you share your seeds with Mrs. Savage? Run along. Aren't you going to join them, Mrs. Savage?
I wanted to speak to you alone.
All right. What can I do for you?
A great deal. And it might be that I can do a great deal for you.
Are you about to offer me a bribe, Mrs. Savage?
How did you guess?
Everyone does, at first.
Still, my offer is a little different. I have the money. I'll give you 20,000 to leave that door open tonight. 30,000.
Don't you like us, Mrs. Savage?
That is a most irritating answer to a sound business offer, my dear. 40,000. You can be free of this place too.
Oh, but I don't want to be free of it.
50,000. You can go around the world. You can see Cairo, Mandalay, the South Pacific.
I've seen Cairo, I've been to Mandalay, and the South Pacific.
Have?
I had 4 years as an army nurse.
Still, you should be able to use $50,000.
Now, where would you get $50,000? That is a fortune.
Never mind, I can get it. And in the current idiom, 50,000 is peanuts.
I believe you, but I'm afraid I have to refuse.
Then you leave me no choice but to burn this place down.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, yes, I would.
There are too many people here that wouldn't be able to save themselves. You think of them first.
If you believe I belong here, then why are you appealing to my reason?
I wasn't. I was appealing to your emotions.
Well, I'm going to get out quickly enough. It's just that bribing you would have been cheaper. Now it will cost me a couple of million at least.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Is Mrs. Savage downstairs?
She's just this minute went out to the garden.
What would you say her state of mind was this morning?
Oh, the usual patterns. She's already offered me a bribe.
Oh? What'd she offer you?
The highest one yet. $50,000, the poor dear.
Did she sound confident?
Oh, definitely manic. She talks as though she still controls her own affairs.
Apparently she still does. Read this. I've just been speaking with her children. They're practically out of their minds themselves. The senator's picking up his sister in New York and his brother in Boston. They'll be here by tonight.
This is the most amazing story I've ever read. When did they discover it?
Well, from what I gather, this morning, they asked me to confine her to her room.
But I don't understand it. How could she get away with so much money?
Apparently, her husband left the entire estate to her. She's been secretly selling out control ever since.
$10 million? That's gotta be a typographical error, isn't it?
Nope. They had it all right.
But what could she have done with it?
As her son says, God knows.
Do you think she could have spent it?
I doubt it. Will you call her up here, please? I'd better tell her what to expect.
Mrs. Savage, will you come up here? Dr. Emmett would like to speak with you. Are you going to place her in seclusion?
Oh, of course not. But sometimes I wish there was a way of placing relations in seclusion. They are always much more trouble than patients.
Do you think she knows what happened to the money?
If she knows, she's the only one.
Is it a possibility that there's method to her madness?
Miss Lily, I find it harder every day to say where reason ends and madness begins. But for now, we must accept the presumptive evidence of her stepchildren.
From what I've heard of her son's record in Congress, he'd give any good psychiatrist a nasty turn.
Yeah, and the sensationalism of her daughter's 6 divorces doesn't speak too well to her emotional stability either.
Do you want me, Doctor?
Oh, yes, good morning. Miss Lily, will you go help out on the switchboard? Miriam has been deluged with calls in the newspapers.
Yes, Doctor.
Please, have a seat, Mrs. Savage.
I think I know what you're going to tell me.
Do you?
I see you have the morning paper. I wondered how long it would take them to find out.
So, you know what you've done, and the consequences?
It's too early for consequences. May I see it?
The senator has phoned. We can expect a bite tonight.
Indeed, we can. Well, I'm not going anyplace.
How could you have possibly spent $10 million without anyone knowing it?
Who said I spent it?
That paper says you did.
Oh, what did they know? I didn't spend it. I couldn't. I hid it.
You hid it?
In nice $500,000 negotiable bonds that can't be traced.
Why?
I don't ask you what you do with your money, Doctor.
I'm sorry this has happened to you, Mrs. Savage. This is going to prove to be a great disadvantage to you.
No, that's because you're a doctor, and doctors never know the value of money.
Would you like to know how long it would take me to earn that much money, Mrs. Savage?
No, excuse me. I came back to get my violin. If Fairy May wants music while she plants her seeds.
Just a moment, Hannibal. You were a statistician, right? How long would it take the average doctor to earn $10 million?
Well, he'd have to start before Christ was born and work right through the burning of Rome. Right up to the burning of St. Joan and Savonarola. With time out, of course, for the Norman Conquest, the Crusades, with the 100 Years' War, the 30 Years' War, with the 7 Years' War. So then he would have to work double time during the discovery of America up to penicillin and bubblegum. But that's without deducting federal tax, state tax, city tax, school tax, luxury tax, and amusement tax. Well, you'd have to add 100 years for that.
Thank you, Hannibal. That's a great deal to be responsible for, Mrs. Savage.
Now what's that doctor up to?
A bit of emotional blackmail, I suspect. Hannibal, would you guess to look at me that I'm worth $10 million on the hook?
Never. The human body only has 20 cents worth of calcium in it, 5 cents worth of iodine, 20 cents worth of phosphorus, and well, even at present high prices, nobody's worth over $1.50.
So you only value me at $1.50.
Never. You said worth. Your value is inestimable.
Oh, Hannibal, I like you. I like you very much. You make me feel important. You make me feel like dancing.
Splendid. What shall I play?
Anything.
I am very good on the flight to the bumblebee.
Could anything be more appropriate? The bees come home and find the honeycomb. Someone is going to get stung. Play, Hannibal, play!
Are you reading?
Yes, dear.
Is it interesting?
Very.
I'm not disturbing you, am I?
Now, whatever makes you think that? What's the matter, Fairy May?
Oh, nothing. It's just that no one has said they loved me this whole livelong day.
Why, yes, they have, Fairy.
No, they haven't. I've been waiting.
I heard Florence say it at the dinner table.
Did she?
Did I? She said, "Don't eat too fast, Fairy."
Was that her saying she loves me?
Of course. People say I love you when they say, "Take an umbrella, it's raining," or "Hurry back," or even, "Watch out, you'll break your neck." There are hundreds of ways of wording it. You just have to listen for it, my dear.
My dentist said I have perfect occlusion. Do you think he was telling me he loves me?
What else? Why, the first day I met my husband, I was riding horseback and he said I had a good seat. I knew immediately he loved me.
I've been missing so much. Thank you, Mrs. Savage. My dentist loves me.
Now, what else would you like me to clear up for you, dear?
Oh, nothing. I'm sorry for disturbing you. Thank you and forgive me.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes?
I'm keeping score and the boys won't help. What's 7 and 5 and 4?
49.
But Mrs. Savage!
It's my own system, Hannibal. I refuse to submit to the tyranny of mathematics.
Then I win.
I'll keep score after this.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes, Fairy?
may I disturb you a moment more?
Of course.
There is one other thing you could clear up for me. How is it suddenly Sunday again when it was Sunday only yesterday?
Why do you think it's Sunday?
Because Sunday is Visitor's Day. So if your kids are coming to see you, then it must be Sunday. I must have had an awfully good time this week.
It isn't Sunday, Fairy. My brood are coming back because they couldn't wait a week.
That should make you happy.
It should, but it doesn't.
Excuse me, but don't you like them?
Oh, not at all.
I think that a wicked thing to say.
Well, we have to be wicked once in a while to get God's attention. But if it consoles you, Florence, they were not mine. My husband was left with 3 small children.
But you must have liked them when they were little.
Oh, I wanted to make them my own desperately, but they always resented me. Why, the first time I put my arms around Lily Belle, she bit me. And she bit me every day until she was 10.
That must have made you very high-strung.
Well, what stopped her at the exact age of 10?
I suppose at 10, a girl begins to consider her teeth.
But the boys are always so much better.
Not always. They've been spoiled by money, and whenever I tried to correct them, they'd break something I treasured to get even with me. Oh, it was a happy day when they went away to school.
But school must have taught them something.
Yes, French. After that, whenever they came home, they spoke nothing but French, so I couldn't understand them. And I haven't understood them since.
But you must be proud of them now. The senator is quite famous, is he not?
Oh, that he is, make no mistake. I'm told he receives more threatening telegrams than any other man in Congress. I believe Western Union lists him as a tangible asset.
If he's so unpopular, then why do the voters keep sending him to Washington?
They're no fools. It's the only way to keep him out of the state.
The other son's a judge, isn't he?
That's a distinction.
He's made it one. He has the distinction of having more of his decisions reversed than any man in jurisprudence.
Is the daughter pretty, Mrs. Savage?
Well, there's a picture of her in the paper. I'll show it to you and you can judge for yourself.
Oh, please don't read us anything out of the paper.
I won't. I'll just show you her picture.
We don't look at pictures either.
People are always pinned under trucks.
I'll peek first, just to make sure it isn't horrible. Ah, she's a queen! She's wearing a crown!
Oh, a queen?
That's a tiara, Fairy. It's an old picture taken when she was married to her Slavic prince.
Well, let's take a look, Hannibal, just to be polite.
So she's a princess?
No, she discarded the prince a good 6 husbands ago.
Why?
Hell hath no music like a woman playing second fiddle.
I don't know when I've seen a prettier tiara.
The dress is cut rather low, isn't it?
Did she get the tiara?
Indeed she did. I suspect she sleeps in it.
I don't like her. Let's do something mean to her. Fairy! What do you mean really mean? Something like putting her picture up on the dartboard and throwing darts at it.
Fairy!
Oh, my dear, you are a sweet child. That's exactly what we'll do.
Oh, you wouldn't!
I need exercise, my dear.
Fairy, you're an evil girl to think of such a thing.
Don't speak to me like that! I'm sensitive!
Now, don't talk to her like that, Florence. I'm the culprit. What can I pin this up with?
Mrs. Paddy has some thumbtacks.
Oh, I'm so disappointed in you.
I wish I had died in my cradle.
Mrs. Paddy. Oh, that is the loveliest seascape I've ever seen. Do you know, I can actually smell the ocean. I think your genius lies in your simplicity. You challenge the imagination. Can I borrow some thumbtacks? Thank you.
It's setting a very bad example for motherhood.
Oh, do stop worrying, Florence. Don't you like surprises?
Yes?
Well, I want to surprise Lily Belle. Now, I'll tee off. Target for tonight. Right in the tiara.
Something terrible is going to happen. I just know it.
Everyone to the upstairs study. Mrs. Savage's visitors are here. Miss Willie, I never get to meet strangers anymore. Can I stay? Please let me. Oh, Fairy, I'm sorry, but the senators insisted on privacy. Hurry, let's go. Upstairs. Someday, when I'm ordered out, I'm just going to go without saying a word. I have as much pride as anyone. All the way upstairs now.
How's the weather out there?
Stormy. Mrs. Savage, here are your visitors.
You can wait outside.
I'll leave the latch off and wait at the hall desk.
Don't know what to say to you, Mother. For the life of me, I just don't know what to say.
Polite people say, good evening.
Deception is so unlike you.
I'm not angry. I'm hurt. Do you have the faintest idea of the enormity of what you've done? You have sold control of 15 Savage Industries.
We'll have to sell our stock in Savage Brass to buy it back.
Oh, didn't you find out? I sold that first.
We're ruined.
I mustn't get excited. I get lines.
What else? What else have you disposed of?
Everything in my name.
Then, where's the money?
You couldn't have spent it.
Tell us what you've done with it, dear.
I converted it into a neat little bundle of negotiable bonds and buried them.
When you say buried, do you mean hidden?
I mean buried, as in funeral.
In the ground? Where's it buried?
I forget.
Oh, Lord. Give my mother a moment of clarity.
Tell us where you've buried it. Concentrate.
Best thing in the world for taking lines out of the face, Willie Belle. I am going to have to do something about getting you a new eye. Do you know any place that sells bear's eyes, Willie Belle?
Give me that stupid thing and tell us what you've done with the money.
Miss Willie, help!
Lily Belle, all you're doing is antagonizing her. Shouting's not going to get us anywhere.
Fine. Hold your bear. We're sorry. We forget that you are sick.
Mother, you need to understand something. That the money, it's not so much the money that has us concerned, but it's how it looks for us. And how that. What happened?
He bit me.
Nonsense. Mother wouldn't do a lot of things but dissent to biting. It was a wasp.
If ever there was a wasp, it's the woman we call mother. I know when I'm bitten.
Well, lower your voice. Does it hurt?
Of course it hurts.
Lilibel, there's no need fighting amongst ourselves. Stop it. We can't afford it.
You can't afford anything.
All right, Mother. We refuse to get angry with you. Lilibel, apologize.
I will not.
Lilibel?
Fine. It's quite all right, Mother. I don't object to you biting me. Gnaw and mangle me to the bone. Gut me till your heart's content. Only tell us what you've done with our money.
My money. You already had your share.
The estate is ours. It's been in the Savage family for generations.
8 generations. It would be unthinkable if you were the first savage to be found wanting.
Found wanting what?
The savage pride. Mother, listen very carefully. We've looked at the savage estate as a sacred trust. And we've never looked at ourselves as possessors of a great fortune, but rather custodians of wealth. Ah! Don't do that!
Would you look at it? Look at it. She's been throwing darts at my picture.
What of it? It can't hurt you.
It's only a vicarious form of murdering someone. The most vicious sort of voodoo magic known to science.
We're losing ground.
We were fostered by a werewolf. Every savage son of us.
My patience is exhausted. What did you do with that money?
I told you, I buried it.
Where? Hey, you tell us right away, or we're going to put you in a public institution because we will not stand for this criminal waste.
Oh, you've got me in such a state I can't think. I haven't brain in my head anyhow. You've said so time and time again.
not me.
All this shouting is giving me a headache and I can't remember a thing.
What do you mean you can't remember a thing? Of course you can.
I can't. My head is pounding. Oh,
You better be careful, Titus.
All right. Can we get you something?
yes. The only thing that clears my head is those powders I used to take.
Where are they?
Oh, I'm out of them. Oh,
All right, we'll get you more.
will you?
Of course.
All right. Here's the prescription numbers from my druggist in Boston.
Boston? We have to drive all the way to Boston?
Oh, where is everyone?
Titus, just get the powders. We'll come back in the morning. We're obviously not going to accomplish anything tonight.
All right, you're right. You get the prescription filled.
Get it filled, Samuel. When we get home, I'm going straight to bed.
All right, Mother. Are you going to be prepared to tell us where those bonds are in the morning?
Pound.
I'm going to let the chauffeur know we're ready. We got to get him. We better get going as well. All right, Mother. We'll be back first thing in the morning. Belle, I'll have Dr. Emmett give her a sedative.
Lily Belle.
What do you mean by psst?
I have something important to tell you about the bonds. Close the door. Well, I want to tell you and you alone where I hid them.
Why me?
Samuel and Titus are fools, and if anything were to happen to me overnight, the bonds would be lost.
Well, it was Titus who wanted you here, not me. Where did you put it?
Where would you hide $10 million if you didn't trust things?
I don't know.
Under a rock?
Of course not.
Would you hide them in your mattress? Of course, you're never very far from your mattress. But what if you were, and the house burned down?
Mother, are you going to tell me I'm not?
Have you ever been to the Museum of Natural History?
No.
Very educational and fireproof.
Mother, please.
Do you know what's on the 3rd floor of the museum?
How could I?
The Department of Ichthyology.
What are you talking about?
Fish! In the last room, on the 3rd floor, hanging from 2 wires, is a big, dusty porpoise.
And?
I stuffed my bonds in that stuffed fish when no one was looking.
I don't believe you.
Name me a safer place.
Only a fool would do such a thing.
Well, that's me.
How could you get a package of bonds inside of a porpoise?
Easy. A razor blade and Scotch tape.
How do I know you're telling me the truth?
There's one simple way to find out.
You must think I'm very gullible. I have no intention of going and hunting inside of a stuffed fish.
Are we gonna hold the car for you all night, Lily Belle? Sammy's out there honking.
Let him honk.
Doctor will be in a minute.
Titus.
Yes?
Kiss me goodbye.
Oh, you bit, Lily Belle.
Well, that's ironical, because I trust you. I was just about to tell you where the bonds are hidden.
know I never wanted you in here. Just listen to Lily, Belle.
Will you get me out and leave me alone?
Of course we will.
Then I'll tell you. The bonds are in a tin box.
Where?
Do you remember the time I went to Washington with that group from Actors Equity?
No.
Well, I do. It was National Ethel Week. We all had lunch with the First Lady. There was Ethel Barrymore, Ethel Merman, Ethel Waters.
What are you talking about?
My bonds are buried in the president's hothouse.
I don't believe you.
You didn't believe Pearl Harbor until you investigated.
But the hothouse is such a public place with people coming and going.
Well, I'm not very bright.
Well, the only man who has been in the White House.
You should agree with him oftener.
How do I know you didn't imagine this?
There's one sure way to find out. Dig.
Oh, no. I'm not going to fall for that trap.
In the corner under the petunia bed.
Titus, if you don't come, Samuel is going off without us.
I'm coming. I just refuse to believe you, Mother. Good night.
We listened. We're horrible. We're kind of ashamed.
We wanted to stop listening and sneak away, but we couldn't without making too much noise.
It's quite all right. It's no secret. If you read the papers, you'd know.
Did you really hide all that money?
I did indeed, for my husband's memorial fund.
And now you're giving it back. You're very generous for your size and weight.
You didn't tell the judge where his share was.
That prescription was really a note saying to dig under the chimney.
Well, why would you hide it if you were just going to tell them where it was?
What makes you think I did?
We heard you.
Foolish I am, but not that foolish. Whatever is in that chimney or under the president's petunias or stuck in that porpoise, I can assure you it is not my little bundle of bonds.
Why did you say that they were?
I wanted to see to what extent they make fools of themselves.
Oh, nothing makes the truth seem so shabby as a magnificent lie. How splendid.
But how do you know they'll believe you?
They want to believe me,
They might consider it degrading to go out digging.
but they will.
How can you be sure?
There are a million things a man won't do for $5. But there aren't 5 things a man won't do for $1 million. They'll dig.
Oh, I didn't realize no one was here.
And I didn't know you could play the piano.
I only play when I'm alone.
Oh, you shouldn't be so shy. No one is going to compare you with a professional.
But I am a professional. I made my debut in town hall a week before the war. Jeff Meredith, you see?
Why, this says you were brilliant. Oh, forgive me, Jeff. I should have known.
I was going to make my debut. I'm going to appear at the Philharmonic, but I didn't. But I have the contract to prove that I might have.
But you never played, Jeff. Oh, please go on. I'd like to hear you.
No, I don't like to be stared at.
I'll look the other way and listen, Jeff.
I'd rather not. I'm not ready to face people yet. Please don't insist.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Thank you. Can you keep a secret?
About 10 minutes.
Dr. Emmett's not a doctor at all.
What is he?
A patient, like Mrs. Paddy.
Oh, do you think so?
For 5 years, he's promised to give me a new face.
No, he's a doctor, Jeff. It says so on his office door. He wouldn't lie.
Believe me, it explains speed.
I'm a trusting soul. I try to believe the best in people.
Well, it's best to believe the worst. If you believe the worst, it's only half as bad, half as good as best. And the best is no worse than expected. So it's best to believe the worst.
You know, Jeffrey, that's just obscure enough to be profound. What does it mean?
Simple. When a man says he's wise, you say he's a fool. When he says he's a fool, you believe him.
Well, only a fool claims to be wise.
Exactly, which proves I'm right. Dr. Emmett is a fool, and he claims to be a doctor. The war is over 5 years ago, and where's his miracle?
Some things take a long time to heal, Jeffrey.
Well, I can't wait much longer. I'm getting old. I'm gonna be 26 soon.
And that's ancient. Why don't you just forget about your appearance and play anyhow? Don't condemn your audience before you've given them a chance to be kind.
Look at me and tell me an audience wouldn't shudder at the sight of me. Look, do you see?
I see nothing. I see nothing to hide, Jeffrey.
Dr. Emmett told you what to say.
Oh, no, he didn't. I promise. But I'd trust him if I were you. Give him just a little more time.
All right. I'll give him 5 years more.
Fair enough.
Do you know something?
Not a thing. I'm awed only by the magnitude of what I don't know.
I wouldn't say this to anyone else, but Hannibal can't really play the violin.
Oh, yes. Well, of course, I'm tone deaf.
I'll tell you something else. Sometimes I wish I were.
Well, you're a sweet boy to pretend.
Poor Hannibal can't play, but he does. I really can, but I won't. Don't you think that's funny?
There's a rat in the hole! A rat as big as a mouse! Come and get your Willie, you savage!
Oh, Fairy, what am I going to do with you?
You put me right off my coffee.
Oh, you know there's no rat in the hall.
But Mrs. Savage doesn't. She's born here, and I intend to make life exciting for her.
Thank you, Fairy. You'll be happy to know that I just aged 50 years. That puts me well over the 100 mark.
We should have a birthday party. I'll make candles.
You'll sit down quietly and drink your coffee.
Oh dear, I ate too much again.
You shouldn't exercise right after a meal, Hannibal.
I know, but if I wait till I'm comfortable, my conscience won't needle me.
Are you sure there have been no calls or messages for me today?
Positive.
Well, do you think it would be possible to send to the village and get tonight's newspaper?
I'll tell you what, you finish serving the coffee and I'll go ask Dr. Emmett.
Gladly.
Here you go, Bingo.
Florence hasn't been served yet.
Don't say no manners, Jeff. Miss Willie knows how you like your coffee. I'll get my own.
Very well, thank you.
You're annoyed.
You single me out for attention, Miss Willie. It's unfair and it makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, Jeff, I'm so tired tonight. I really didn't remember. You'll have to forgive me.
Of course, I forget too.
Mirror, mirror in my hand, who's the best dressed in the land? Fairy who?
Cream in your coffee, Fairy.
Please. Do you think this dress does anything for me? I made it myself.
It's sheer delight, Fairy. Sugar,
5. There wasn't time to finish it, so I had to put it together with pins.
Hannibal,
No, thank you.
would you like to know a trick to make that exercise more enjoyable, Hannibal?
An enjoyable way of losing weight has yet to be invented.
Well, I know of an improvement. All you need is a deck of cards.
I went to a fortune teller once when I was 14. Everything he told me turned out wrong. I stopped believing in cards after that.
Fairy, now, all you have to do is throw them up in the air.
Why?
To lose weight. Now, just bend over and pick them up again, one by one.
Ooh, I like that. It's tidy.
I learned it in a beauty course.
Thank you, Mrs. Savage. It's a great improvement.
Wouldn't it be easier to pick them up sideways?
Much. Man was made all wrong. His stomach should be in back. When he bends, it gets in the way. When he kneels, his knees buckle out instead of folding neatly behind him. And why should his nose be in front? It only gets in the way when he kisses.
You're so right.
I guess God was in a hurry.
Well, Hannibal, what are we doing now?
We're losing weight.
Well, would you please postpone that for a little while? Would you all please go upstairs to the study for a few minutes? I would like to talk to Mrs. Savage. Florence, will you take the coffee up with you?
Oh, I do hate having coffee upstairs. It's so middle class. Where is John Thomas?
I think you left him on the phonograph, Florence.
Oh, yes. He adores the classics.
Upstairs, downstairs, till I think I'll scream. Can I stay, Dr. Emmett?
No, you may not. Miss Willie tells me you seem to be anxious to see tonight's newspapers. May I ask why?
Habit.
Well, it will undoubtedly please you to know that you have caused considerable chaos once again.
Have I? Titus on the front page. Oh. Senator trapped in White House hothouse.
I've just been speaking with him. He's exceedingly angry.
Imagine pulling up all those petunias. What will everyone think?
Because of this, your position here has deteriorated considerably.
And my disposition has blossomed enormously. Anything about Samuel?
Oh, yes. Here's the Boston Post.
Oh dear, poor Samuel, trapped under all those bricks. Chimney collapsed passes on Boston jurists. Well, for some it takes a ton of bricks, you know.
How could they have possibly believed you?
They should be committed, shouldn't they? Nothing about Lily Belle?
Your batting average for mischief is at 100%, Mrs. Savage.
Oh, what a horrible picture of Lily Belle. This would frighten even Fairy.
According to this, she resisted arrest.
Huh. So I see. Female vandal invades museum. Berserk heiress bites police. Now, they really are fools, aren't they, Doctor?
Just what are you hoping to gain here, Mrs. Savage?
Better terms.
For your freedom?
For my husband's memorial fund.
Your children believe that money could be put to better use.
Of course, their own. Lily Belle settled over $1 million on her 6 husbands, and Samuel and Titus spent as much to secure jobs to which they have no right. Is that better use?
Well, they consider your memorial fund to be rather unorthodox.
Oh, that's absurd. There are plenty of charities for foolish people in desperate need, and none for people with a desperate need to be foolish.
What brought you to this conclusion?
My own life. No matter what we have, we never forget the foolish things we never got. Why, I'm sure if Hannibal had been given a violin when he wanted one, he wouldn't need one now.
That is entirely possible.
I want my husband to be remembered with warmth and gratitude for a few foolish dreams come true. I will not give up my memorial to him.
Well, I would love to discuss this with you further. But, unfortunately, you do have some visitors waiting. You may come in now, Senator. I'll be just outside if you want me.
My headache's gone.
How dare you make a fool of me? How dare you?
You tried to kill me. You knew that old chimney would fall if I started pulling bricks from it, didn't you?
Oh, we're really not a very bright family, are we?
Oh, you must be proud. To hold a savage name up in disregard again.
Did you dig, Titus?
8 FBI agents jumped me, pushed my face in the dirt, and accused me of planting a bomb.
Why didn't you tell the papers the truth? I did. Sleepwalking. Really?
Really? You try to come up with an excuse with 8 men on your chest.
Oh, she loved the chance.
It was reported the senator's mother, Ethel P. Savage, actress, was committed today for irregular behaviors. Democratic leaders were quick to jump on this could explain why the senators had a career of erratic behaviors. You know what this does to me?
Makes you a mon canard. That's a dead duck. French, remember?
I'll never survive this. Never.
They treated me like a common criminal. I was fingerprinted.
Oh, I meant to ask you, Lily Belle. What's in a stuffed porpoise?
Do you know what the papers call us now?
The mad savages?
How do you like it?
So, where are the bonds?
What happened to your self-respect?
Where is my money?
Where is your dignity?
May I ask what you plan to do now?
Are you ready to listen to my terms? Or would you care to dig in Grant's tomb?
We're willing to make a compromise.
If that means you're willing to see things my way, then compromise is the right word.
What if we take the commitment, we effect a release, and we would have a person with you over a period of time? It would look better for us.
I would be willing to grant her complete freedom if she would give up acting and lead a dignified life.
Freedom, as Titus can tell you, is the right to make the wrong choice.
Well, what do we get?
Oh, that's what I like about you, Titus. No nonsense. You will each receive a reasonable yearly allowance.
How reasonable?
I shall be generous, but the bulk of the estate must be given away by my fund.
That's completely mad.
Well, if we have the commitment revoked, what happens if you play one of your little tricks? Where would we be then?
Where are you now?
Get it over with, Titus.
Very well. Write the retraction, Samuel.
I'm tired of my decisions being reversed.
Once I'm released, I'll keep my promise. But I warn you, don't have me followed.
Samuel, wait a minute.
What is it?
I found the answer on the cover of this medical journal.
What are you talking about?
But first, I have to talk to Dr. Emmett. I found a solution to your compromise.
Willie Belle.
Willie Belle, are you going to sign that petition?
Titus, don't sign anything until I get back.
What did she read?
God knows.
Something to trick you. If you listen to her again, you'll end up without a cent.
What shall I do?
Finish it. Willie Belle has gotten us in trouble enough.
And be quick about it. Yours and Samuel's signatures will be enough.
How many T's in commitment?
3.
2.
It doesn't look right.
Oh, well, let me write it. Give me your pen.
Give it back.
Oh, I will. All right. It should say, commitment ill-advised, and we request a release. Will that satisfy you?
It will when you sign it.
Okay. Sign it, Samuel.
What are you doing?
We're signing the letter, Willie Belle. Sign it.
That is not necessary.
Oh, you'll regret this.
You know not to act before you talk to us.
Would you be quiet? Read that.
What?
The article on sodium pentothal. It's... Perhaps I'll let Dr. Emmett explain. Dr. Emmett, would you please tell them what sodium pentothal does?
It's generally used in cases of shock. It helps release tension, removes the patient's inhibitions, and makes them receptive to suggestion.
It's called the truth drug.
That's not quite accurate, however.
But under its influence, the patient answers truthfully. Isn't that so?
If they answer at all.
Now do you understand?
Did you want me, Doctor?
Yes, just a moment.
Doctor, I want you to get some of this truth drug immediately and administer it to our mother.
Doctor, haven't I any rights at all?
Dr. Emmett, if I may say something, surely you're not going to listen to these people. It is a flagrant misuse of science.
Doctor, I demand you get that drug and administer it now!
Mrs. Savage, if I refuse, your guardians are quite within their legal right to have you removed from my care. I am confident that they will find the means of subjecting you to the effects of sodium pentothal elsewhere.
Then let someone else be responsible, Doctor.
Mrs. Savage, $10 million hidden from use does no one any good. You least of all. It remains an ever-present symptom of psychotic thinking. An intelligent mind recognizes defeat.
Well, let it be known that I was not forced to my knees by science. I will tell you where the bonds are hidden. I've hidden them.
Wait! We've come to the rescue! It's not too late.
We'll stand by you, Mrs. Savage.
We just happened to be listening. Shame on you, and you, and you.
Dr. Emmett, who are these people?
These are my friends.
Hannibal, weren't you asked to stay upstairs?
I want to protest, Doctor.
What gives you the right to protest? You have no business here!
I love you all for wanting to help me, but Dr. Emmett hasn't much choice, as you must have heard.
What will you do now, Mrs. Savage?
Give them the bonds.
I do believe that is the right choice, Mrs. Savage.
So, are you going to tell us or not?
I'm going to show you. We are going to show you.
Oh, you heard it!
Really tried to hide them. Here's your treasure.
She had them with her the whole time.
Oh, what happened to the lights? Who turned off the lights?
Oh, hang on just a minute. I'll turn the lights back on.
Damn it, be careful. Someone might kill you.
Titus, jack up a match.
I don't have a match!
Who is this?
It's me. Let go of me.
Turn on the lights! Do you hear me? Which one of you turned off the lights?
Oh, it was one of our patients, Mrs. Paddy. Oh, Mrs. Paddy!
Where's Lilybelle?
She disappeared!
My gracious, what are you doing down there?
Somebody pushed me.
It wasn't me. I wasn't near enough.
Oh! They're gone! They're gone!
Gone.
What'd you do with them?
I put them right here. You saw me do it yourself.
Then where'd they go?
Excuse me, Senator. I'd say that Mrs. Paddy has them. It seems obvious to me she turned off the lights, took the bonds, and ran.
Miss Willie, go get Mrs. Paddy. Notify all the guards to stop her before she destroys those bonds.
I cannot bear this. I can't bear it. I'm going to pieces.
This will calm you. Would you like to try it?
Oh, darling Mrs. Paddy. Come on, everyone. Let's go for a walk. I'll be the Pied Piper.
Yes, Miss Wilhelmina. Good. Good. Good.
Well,
we notified all the staff, and all the wards have been locked down, and Miss Willie is searching the basement now.
has she found that woman yet?
No, not yet.
Then what was his name? What was that good about?
I assure you, we are taking every possible precaution, Senator.
All right, do you realize there's a maniac running around with $10 million of negotiable bonds? And do you also know, if they're not bound, they cannot be replaced.
What will she do with them, Doctor?
Oh, she'll probably eat them.
I don't know that. But we're sure to recover them. It just may take a little time.
Oh, years probably.
They were right here, within our grasp. Why didn't you stop her?
How was I supposed to know the lights were going to go out?
It's quite possible Mrs. Paddy didn't take them at all.
Of course she did. She's the only one that could have.
You could have.
She was almost 10 feet away from the bonds.
But she's mighty quick when it comes to money. Personally, I think she took them and stuck them down her front. Heaven knows there's room. Why don't you search her?
You didn't take them, did you, Lily Belle?
Can't you see she's trying to make us suspect each other?
Yes, she is trying to make us suspect each other. I think it was somebody else. I think it was you! You were the closest one to the bonds. When the lights went out.
He was right beside them.
What do you have to say?
I didn't take them. I don't like bonds.
The Queen of Spades! Someone's going to die!
Dr. Emmett, must we have these people here?
No, get rid of these. No. Don't let anybody go. We need to keep an eye on everyone and search him.
Everyone, off with his clothes.
My glasses too?
Fairy, just a moment. Mrs. Savage, will you please don't make this any more difficult than you already have?
And would someone please do something about this man's throwing cards around? My nerves are on edge.
Hannibal, don't.
Don't do this, don't do that. Don't do this, don't do that. I understand you have a lovely tiara. Do you sleep in it?
Oh, sit down, you unattractive creature. I have had quite enough.
I don't like you.
Fairy, will you please sit down and be quiet while we wait?
Very well. Fairy! Excuse me, I'm upset.
Well, Mrs. Paddy, you have the entire staff searching for you.
Oh, we won't let you get away.
I think you better come with me, Miss Paddy. We need to have a talk.
Maybe we'll find these bonds. Madam, hand over the bonds.
Oh, you better let me question her, Senator. She won't talk to you.
Oh, yes, she will.
Oh, no, she won't.
We'll just see about that. Well, madam, what do you have to say for yourself?
I hate everything in the world. But most of all, I hate revolving doors, cuspidors, fights, fuzz, fleas, bumblebees, prickly heat, butts, bladders, worms, germs, peckiners, and politicians!
What does she mean?
Weren't you listening?
Fairy! Excuse me, please.
Madam, did you hear what I asked you?
There's no reason to shout at Mrs. Paddy. She hears you well enough, but she won't answer you. She hasn't answered a question in 20 years.
Oh, don't play a trick on me, madam.
Oh, don't make her mad, Titus. She carries a knife. It's savage.
Mrs. Paddy doesn't carry a knife, Senator. She's hostile, but quite harmless. Now, will you please yield the floor to me, Senator?
I will, but I want to hear her talk.
So do we all.
Mrs. Paddy, now, this is quite important. I want you to nod yes or no to the questions I'm going to ask you. Okay. Now, did you take some bonds from the settee a few minutes ago?
She did, and she didn't.
Ah, this is so exciting! I wish we could open up a door and have a body fall out.
Mrs. Paddy, look at me, look at me. Okay. Now, do you remember turning out the lights? Yes, yes you do. Do you remember a small little pile of papers over on the sofa? Now try to remember. Think.
Dr. Emmett, I found them.
Oh, no, you don't. I'll take those.
But Senator?
I'll be in charge of...
Oh, look! Radio tubes!
I thought you said that. These were the bonds.
I said nothing of the sort. This restores my faith in witchcraft!
Wherever did you find them, Miss Willie?
In the basement, in the hot air duct that leads to Barry's room.
I told you I was cold all winter and you wouldn't believe me!
I hold you personally responsible for this fiasco, Doctor.
Just what would you have me do, Senator?
I'd have you search that woman. She may have them on her person.
I'm afraid this is going to present a bit of a problem. Well, what about searching Mrs. Savage?
Oh no, take me first! I'm the youngest and undressed the quickest. I don't want to draw straws.
Oh, no. I don't want to miss anything. You go first, Mary.
Thank you!
Fairy, would you come with me, please?
Oh yes. Did you know that I was asked to play Lady Godiva for the Elks pageant? But I didn't. My mother was afraid of all those elks.
All right, Mrs. Paddy. Wouldn't you like to save us all a lot of trouble?
Don't you have some kind of threat to resort to here?
I don't threaten my patients.
The truth drug.
Of course, the truth drug. Let's give her the truth drug, and then we'll make her talk.
Out of the question. I'd have to have her guardian's consent.
Well, who's her guardian?
Her husband.
Get him on the phone. Where is he?
Japan.
Japan? Well, if he's out of the country, don't you have authority to act?
I don't have any proof that she's actually taken them yet.
I still think Lily Belle's your girl.
Would you stop saying that?
Dr. Emmett,
Yes, Jeff.
since Miss Savage can't tell her bonds anyhow, I may be able to help.
Yes.
Miss Paddy didn't take the bonds,
Well, how do you know?
because I did.
Aha! You're the thief! You're the one who's been trying to trick us. Hand over the bonds, young man.
I can't.
Jeff, if you took the bonds, where did you put them?
I've searched Fairy, Doctor. She doesn't have them.
Speak up.
I threw them out the window.
Titus, go down. We'll watch from here.
Stop! Parcheesi, the royal game of India.
Ooh.
Jeff, you couldn't have thrown them out the window. The window is closed.
So why are you trying to mislead us?
You get away from him, you big dumb ox!
Well, he said he took the bonds.
Well, he didn't, and I happen to know he didn't.
And how do you know that?
That is none of your business.
Miss Willie, how do you know?
Because I had my arms in front of him when the lights went out. I wanted to protect him from getting hurt in the confusion.
Thank you, Miss Willie.
But she didn't. It's not true. I tricked him, no one else.
Don't you have Miss Willie? Something terrible is happening. There's a fire upstairs with flames this high.
Fairy, you mustn't. We've company.
But there is. There's a fire upstairs. This high at least.
Barry, come in and have a seat, please.
Please believe me. There's a fire upstairs.
Where?
In the bathtub.
Barry, sit down.
I can't. I'm full of pins.
Jeff, if you took the bonds, where did you put them?
I told you he couldn't have taken them.
Of course he couldn't have. If anyone should know that, I should.
Oh, and I suppose you took them?
I confess everything.
There's a fire upstairs.
There's a conspiracy down here.
Florence, if you took the bonds, where did you put them?
I won't tell you.
They're trying to mislead us again.
I've committed this theft with full knowledge of the stigma involved.
Something's burning upstairs.
Better search her.
Greedy little man.
Miss Willie, will you take Florence to her room and search her, please?
Come along, Florence.
I'll never tell, Mrs. Savage. Even if they put me in solitary confinement and cut off all my hair.
It's a waste of time to search dear Florence.
And I suppose you took them?
No, but I know who did.
I know a fire when I see one.
Who did, Hannibal?
It wasn't Mrs. Paddy.
Then who was it?
It wasn't Florence either.
Listen, I don't want to know who it wasn't. I want to know who was it.
Is that good grammar?
If you ask a Mohammedan what God is, he'll name all the things he isn't. It's easier than telling what he is.
And one of the things he isn't is, he isn't on your side.
Hannibal, if you know who took the bonds, will you please tell us?
I'm not sure who took them, but I know it was a woman, and I know it wasn't Mrs. Paddy.
Oh, fiddle, let the house burn.
Well, how do you know?
A woman pushed me out of the way to get them.
How do you know it was a woman?
Really, Titus?
How do you know it wasn't Mrs. Paddy?
She doesn't use perfume.
Lily, though, bathes in it.
Can you identify the scent?
I think so.
Well, I use gardenia. What do you use, Fairy?
No name. I make my own.
Hannibal, smell Lily Belle.
Titus, I will not tolerate this. They're making fools of us for their own amusement.
Smell anything, Hannibal?
Yes.
What?
Smoke.
High time.
You know, I might be losing my mind, but I smell smoke too.
Dr. Emmett, I found a fire in Mrs. Paddy's bathtub.
I don't think I'll speak to anyone.
In the bathtub?
I'm afraid it's the bonds, or what's left of them.
No.
Let me see this.
Mrs. Paddy, did you take the bonds upstairs to your room and set fire to them?
There's a corner of something that didn't burn, Senator. Can you tell what it is?
It's the burn end of a $500,000 bond.
Mrs. Savage, can you identify this?
Well, the treasure hunt is over. It's all that's left of $10 million.
I should have told a lie. Maybe then someone would have believed me.
Yes, Fairy. I'm sorry. I should have believed you. Senator, there must be some way of having them replaced.
Well, there's not.
They can't be gone. They just can't.
You miserable little creature! Do you know what you cost us?
You let her alone! Oh, never mind, Mrs. Paddy, never mind.
I have had just about enough of this bullying of my patients, as I will take. Now, I'm going to kindly ask the three of you to please leave at once.
What about the burnt piece? Isn't it worth anything?
It's worth nothing. And I hold you personally responsible for this.
I can't be poor. I don't know how.
Little Belle, we'll be all right. We've had worse and we've gotten through it. And I'm still the senator.
Oh, Lily Belle, I never intended it to end like this. Believe me.
Take me home, Titus. Please.
Mother, I want you to know that you'll be fine. We'll take care of it. We would never place you in a public institution.
We are savages.
Goodbye! We say goodbye to people we don't want to see again.
Oh, don't cry, Mrs. Paddy. Why, I'm sure you hate tears, too.
Maybe she thinks her tongue is cracked.
Mrs. Savage, did you think you could change them?
No one changes people. One makes changes people learn to accept. I had hoped to make them look like fools, so they might look with understanding on the fools of good heart.
And who are the fools of a good heart, Mrs. Savage?
I would say those who gamble on people and invest in kindness. Those who doubt position means privilege or manners means morals. And of course, those rebels with no fear of failure.
That makes really good sense, actually.
And justifies my being here.
Do you want to leave?
Oh, they would never let me go.
No patient's commitment here is final until I've made my decision. And I don't see any reason for your staying here.
Does that mean that I'm free?
Well, I could release you on my own authority at once, but let me get the chief medical examiner on the phone, then I'll let you know for sure.
I think I'm going to go pack your things, just in case. We can always unpack again.
You hate us.
Oh, why do you say that, Fairy?
You want to leave us.
Oh, Fairy, I must.
Is someone waiting for you?
No.
Does someone need you?
No.
But you can't leave. I haven't had enough time to find you a going away present. Well, maybe I can find something anyhow. If you won't be fussy, I'll go look.
I'd like to see what I can find too, Mrs. Savage, if you'll wait.
Yeah, come on, everyone. Let's see what we can find.
I have something I just remembered.
But don't go anywhere, or you won't get anything.
I'll try to find something useless. I do abhor practical gifts.
There's nothing in my room you'd want, Mrs. Savage. But I have something on me that I prize. My class ring. Inside it says, "Let there be light." Something Mrs. Paddy would hate.
Oh, no. Hannibal, I couldn't take the ring off your finger.
But I insist. It has no value as gold goes. But as blood goes, it's a statistical treasure. My heart has been pumping my blood through this ring every 2 minutes for 10 years. That adds up to roughly about 100,000 gallons of blood.
It's too much, Hannibal.
Not at all. But I don't seem able to get it off.
Oh, keep it, Hannibal. I I deeply appreciate the offer, the sentiment, and the statistics.
My finger's gotten too fat on each side of the ring.
Never mind, Hannibal. You've had it so long, it's become a part of you.
I'm out of breath. Feel my heart.
Oh, why, Fairy dear.
But I think I found you something anyway. I hope you didn't expect much, because then you won't be disappointed.
I won't be disappointed.
I couldn't find anything to wrap it in except Kleenex. You can feel my heart too, Hannibal.
Thank you. About 104 beats to the minute, I'd say.
Oh, how very nice.
What is it?
A handkerchief.
Oh, no, it's a napkin. So many places serve paper napkins, but they blot or smear.
Oh, bless you, Fairy. I'll take it with me whenever I'm invited out.
It says the cloisters on it. Wasn't that lucky? Oh, look, Fairy found you something first. What did she give you?
A hand-picked napkin.
Oh, well then it will go perfect with what I got you. It's practical after all. I do hope you don't mind.
Oh, Florence, you shouldn't have.
What is it?
A salt shaker.
And full of salt, too.
It's engraved. It says the cloisters on it.
You have gone to too much trouble.
Oh, it was nothing.
Is it sterling?
Fairy dear, I wouldn't dream of giving Mrs. Savage anything that wasn't sterling.
Aw, it's dented.
Really, Fairy, dents give an antique character.
Indeed they do.
Well, I'm not going to say goodbye. I can't stand goodbyes. I don't recognize them.
You weren't expecting us to say goodbye, were you?
I wasn't even expecting a salt shaker.
Well,
how do you do, Mrs. Savage? We have so looked forward to meeting you.
we're glad you're here at last. Make yourself at home.
Oh, and John Thomas asked me to give this to you from him. He said he'd deliver it himself, but he didn't want you to catch his measles. Come, Fairy, let's pretend it's garden hour.
Will you excuse us? We have to go dig weeds. Take an umbrella. It's raining.
Well, Jeffrey, what did you bring?
It's just a book, but I hope you enjoy it.
What is it, Mrs. Savage?
The lifespan of the ape. Why, do you know I have never read it?
I was lucky, wasn't I?
I'll read it tonight.
We thought you'd forgotten us, Mrs. Paddy.
What'd you bring, Mrs. Paddy?
Now, how did you know this was just what I needed?
May I see it?
A genuine onyx button. I'll sew it on at once.
Oh, I think it's intended to make an eye for the bear.
Why, bless your angry heart. Why, of course. We both thank you. He's hated having only one eye.
I hate everything in the world. I hate everything in the world but... I hate everything in the world but you. And I love you. I don't want you to leave us.
She said she loved me.
Well?
Aren't you amazed?
Why? We knew it all along.
But she spoke.
She had to say it.
Well, Jeff, shall we go see what the girls are up to? It's a lovely night and everybody's polite. Watch out. Don't break your neck.
You have a good seat.
think I have everything. Here's your $85 hat. I told you you'd want it again.
My beautiful and foolish hat.
You know, I think you've been wearing it backwards.
What do you know? I have. It's good to be straightened out.
Where did everybody go?
They all gave me going away presents and then refused to say goodbye.
I bet I can guess what they gave you.
Oh, no, you can't. Mrs. Paddy gave me an eye with which to see myself. And Florence, a grain of salt to take with what I see.
That's good. And fairy.
A memory of loveliness.
I'm afraid that to most people she wouldn't seem a lovely girl.
She wears her plainness with great beauty.
And Jeff?
The book of Job.
Nothing from Hannibal.
I'd say he gave me an appreciation of music I never had before.
Well, I have something to give you.
You behave yourself.
Oh, it's not much.
It better not be. My bonds!
Except for the corner of one that I had to burn with the newspapers to make it look convincing.
Oh dear, where did you find them?
Oh, I didn't find them. I stole them when the lights went out.
Why?
I'm not sure.
Don't tell me you're a kleptomaniac.
No, it was too quick to think. What bothers me is that after I took them, I toyed with the idea of keeping them.
Well, that's a normal impulse. What stopped you?
Oh, what Jeff might think.
Oh, my dear, you have got to get away from here. That kind of thinking isn't good for you.
Oh, but you knew that Jeff is my son, didn't you?
I certainly did not.
Oh. Well, he is. And I want to be here when he recovers. And you know why I wouldn't keep any of that money? Pure selfishness. I want to do everything for him. Surely you understand that.
The only thing I don't understand is how I could have felt so sorry for myself. Isn't there something about no fool like a you know what?
Oh, there's something. I don't think it applies to you.
Does anyone else know about these?
Oh, I told Dr. Emmett.
Well, whether you want it or not, you're both going to hear from my memorial fund.
I talked to the medical examiner.
Yes?
The station wagon is outside, ready to take you wherever you want to go. Will you take Mrs. Savage's wallet bags out to the car, please?
Yes, Doctor.
I have a few papers for you to sign, and then you're free to go.
I must be out of my mind, really. I don't want to go.
You mean you'd rather leave tomorrow?
I don't think I want to leave at all.
Why not?
Suddenly, I'm weary. I would like to rest. I would like to be relieved of decision. I would like to be protected from accident and uncertainty, and I would like to close my eyes at night and know that there are walls to guard my sleep.
But the peace that you find here is the moon reflected off of the dark lake. Strike the surface and you destroy it. Is that the peace that you want?
I what everyone wants, to want nothing. These people have found contentment.
How do you know?
Well, I have eyes to see.
So does Jeffrey. But he only sees what he wants to see, an excuse for not facing the future. Does Florence see that her child was taken from her? Does Fairy see what the mirror should tell her? No. For they have found refuge in an eggshell world where you don't belong. For you see yourself clearly, of that I am sure.
Then, where do I belong?
In the world that you can best serve. The impulse to live your life with courage was the right one. Go ahead with your husband's memorial fund. But don't be burdened by the illusion of contentment. The door is open for you, Mrs. Savage. Make your peace with loneliness.
Oh, I'm glad you're still here. I just thought of what I can give you.
Oh, Hannibal, not your violin.
Oh, no. You couldn't play it. But I can give you a song you can take anywhere you go. Here is your song.
Drury. Give him a round of applause. And Dewhurst. Reagan Drury, playing the band. Brian Roderick. There's probably some people I'm missing. We need to thank them too. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed putting it on. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Oh, here, thank you. Yes, I am coming.